Adrian Rivers Radio Show. Let's talk live. Let's talk. Let's talk live.
Hi guys, and we're back. Listen, we were having a conversation before the break, and we were talking a little bit about the Antonio Smith case that got national attention here in Valdosta, Georgia. And I want to make sure that the conversation about what we need to see and what needs to happen, that we make sure that we are paying attention. And I don't want the media to control that for us. All right, I want us to make sure that we're in control of our own narrative. Let's talk. So we talked a little bit about the case. Let's talk about what next. I'll start with you, Pastor Boyd. One of the things that came out of this was some heavy fire on city council and the mayor. Talk to me a little bit about that, and then Mr. Haugabrook will talk a little bit about the legal aspect of that, but talk to me a little bit about that.
John Maxwell has a famous statement that I believe and take to heart. He says, everything rises and falls on leadership.
Mm-hmm. Y'all, I just want to pause and say this is one of the great things that I like about Pastor Boyd, because he always sets it up. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. With Antonio Smith, leadership failed us. It was really not Wheeler that I'm so outraged about, because Wheeler is a part of a system who has allowed him to do that. If we had good leadership starting with the police department, Wheeler would have known that I can't do this because there would be some consequences. In other regards, he done it, and I know that they say the promotion was coming, but think now, he has a promotion, and this type of behavior and attitude and mindset have moved up to another leadership position. So everything rises and falls on leadership. I've talked, and I went to the city council, and I made a radical statement, and I asked for the mayor to resign because he is the head of the city, and he failed. And I got outraged really when he made the statement that nothing would be done, no disciplinary action would be taken after even reviewing it. And I say, if he looks at this tape and don't think anything should be done, he is a leader that is not a leader for all of Valdosta, but maybe just partial Valdosta. And we need a leader that is concerned about every citizen in Valdosta. So I've asked to recall the mayor. There are 4 reasons that you can recall the mayor, and one of the reasons that I'm looking at is that he failed his duties. And when we recall we can't fire the police chief. We don't have the right to fire the city manager. But the citizens of Valdosta, we have the right to have a mayor that has all of our interests. And so we can recall him. So I'm preparing the petition, and this is where you can help. Sign the petition. Let's get somebody in here that really represents a city without limits.
Right.
Let's get a leader who will lead us into this next dimension. And so that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to not only try to do, we're going to recall the mayor. If we don't get any actions, we're recalling the mayor.
And we're gonna talk about where they can find that at in just a few seconds. I want to get back to you, Mr. Haugabrook. One of the statements that was made, and it's actually on one of the documentaries here, and a report that came out with CNN, is that Chief Manahan made a statement, and she said, unfortunately, a horrible situation on behalf of the Valdosta Police Department and our officers that was absolutely no malicious intent. And then one of the things that you say here is that we believe that they fabricated their reports. And this is just something for me that I believe that is one of the motivations behind why this lawsuit is so important. Not simply just because of the situation and how it wasn't carried out properly, but also how even from a documentation standpoint, things were not done accurately. Can you talk to us a little bit about, why you believe that statement to be true?
When you look at each of the officers' reports, they basically support Sergeant Wheeler, who is now Lieutenant Wheeler. Pastor Boyd is absolutely correct. Subsequent to this incident, he was promoted to lieutenant. But when you look at their reports, each of them blatantly state that Mr. Smith was resisting arrest or resisting detention. When you look at that video, does your eyes fool you? Do you see Mr. Smith resisting arrest or resisting detention? That is why we believe that this case or the reports for the officers was fabricated. We think that it was a cover-up. There's no way that 4 additional officers in the Valdosta Police Department can look at this video and conclude that Mr. Smith resisted. This man, as you're looking at that video, he's scared. He has nothing about him that suggests that he's fighting against, resisting Officer Wheeler or anyone. And yet he's slammed to the ground, and we all of a sudden, oh, it's the wrong person. The chief says, oh, well, it was the wrong person. There was someone with a felony warrant, and when you approach a felony situation, you've got to approach it cautiously. Well, the problem with that statement is that the individual who she is referring to that had the felony warrants did not have felony warrants. He had misdemeanor warrants, and they were for all non-violent offenses: traffic offense, a shoplifting offense, and violation of probation. Even if there were felony warrants, why didn't Sergeant Wheeler walk up, see that the situation was calm between Mr. Smith and Officer Henry, and sit there and observe? If he felt the need to interject himself into the situation, why not consult Officer Henry and say, do you need assistance? Is this the person with the warrants? Is this guy being unruly? Something. He never identified himself, just simply grabbed Mr. Smith, slammed him to the ground. And we now have another African-American male in a situation, and I like what Pastor said at the press conference. Fortunately, Mr. Smith did not die. He is alive.
Pastor Boyd, last question. When you heard that Sergeant Wheeler now was promoted, Lieutenant Wheeler, was promoted. What did that do to you?
It was another good boy moment. It was another moment where a black life does not matter. It was another moment where what must happen in order to get the attention of Valdosta, to see that everybody needs to be treated fairly. And when there is an error, I know that we make mistakes, but I don't cover it up.
Or get rewarded.
I don't get rewarded. Where is the accountability that we go into neighborhoods now, telling people if you see something, face it.
And you know, one of the things I want to think about is I think about my job, and I think about if there's been some type of investigation around any action, I probably wouldn't get that promotion.
Not at all.
May I interject?
Sure.
Where was the independent investigation in this case? In Ahmaud Arbery case, the GBI came. Where was the investigation in this case versus the Valdosta Police Department investigating themselves? If I'm going to investigate myself, surely I'm not going to indict myself and call myself out and say I think so. Why wasn't the GBI called in? Just to dot the I's, cross the T's, and let them conclude, oh, Wheeler did nothing wrong.
I think we all just had a moment where our breath was taken away. You know, before we close this out and go on with the rest of our show, you know, I just want to take a moment and highlight, first of all, as the attorney and looking at the legal aspects of it and just the facts, you know, what is factual. But then you also bring in that community perspective and that faith perspective, but also a community perspective. And I like the fact, Pastor Boyd, that you said that, you know, I want to do something. I'm not a political activist. And I just want to say that a lot of people feel that you have to be political in order to be involved. But you just have to be living to be involved. You know, as long as you're living and as long as you're breathing, that is all that you need to get involved. And one of the biggest things that I keep saying every single week, and I'll be saying it all the way up to November 3rd, is we got to vote. We got to get out and vote.
Yes.
We can't say, well, they don't do anything for me. Well, if they may not be doing anything for you, but they could be doing something to you. And that is the other perspective that we have to do, we have to block bad leadership. And we have to get the kind of leadership that we want and the kind of leadership that we need. And to the black community, we are not, you know, a lot of the times, and my time is up, a lot of the times they say, oh, the minorities, but we're not the minority. That messaging is not appropriate for us because we are actually the majority. We're over 50% of this population. So we are not a minority. A minority is a small group. We are not a small group. We are the actual majority as it relates to Valdosta right now. You know, so we got to get out and vote. Before we go, how can people get involved and get in more information about that petition?
All right, you could contact me at 229-630-1538. That's 229-630-1538.
All right, guys, you heard it right here. Listen, guys, thank y'all so much for gracing us with y'all presence. I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, listen, you heard it right here. We'll have this on YouTube. You'll be able to go to our YouTube page. If you have questions, you can email us at letstalklive1079@gmail.com. Letstalklive1079@gmail.com. All right, y'all, we got to keep it rolling. Let's Talk Live.